Welcome to the show. I'm Riley.
I'm David.
And I'm Belle.
And today... Belle?
That's me.
Wow.
Sorry.
And today...
That's it. I'm actually the anime Belle.
And today we're discussing Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We'll laugh, we'll argue, we might get a little too into it, but at the end of the day, they're just movies.
Spoiler alert!
Next week, we're doing Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent to David's joy.
Huge joy.
And ultimate fulfillment.
Yep. Is that a Nicolas Cage in your pocket, or are you just excited to see this movie?
It's both. But today it's all about them crazy, crazy, mad multiverses. And so now, what do you do? David does your thing. James isn't here, and I don't know how to act.
We're lost.
Yeah. David! David!
It's like my parents are fighting. I don't know who to look at.
Doctor Strange may be the messiest and most relentless Marvel movie ever, but it never ceased to surprise and thrill me. 8 out of 10.
Ooh.
I liked it a lot.
Okay, I saw this coming.
And it was messy. And it was all the things I like about Sam Raimi movies and all the things I don't like about them. But I am excited to talk about it. There's so much to talk about.
Now, does Belle go next or do I go next?
Well, we know you don't like it, so go next.
Okay. In a universe currently obsessed with multiverse-themed movies and shows, Marvel managed to make the Multiverse of Madness the worst one out of all of them. Which is, come on, that's almost true.
Out of all of them, what is it? Spider-Man,
That's
Spider-Man.
kind of fair. Like, they are really good, the other ones.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10 because it's like, I liked it, I guess. I enjoyed myself, but like, for every time that the movie kind of did something that made me go, oh, okay, interesting, there was a moment, a minute later that I was like, oh, that's kind of weird.
I totally understand that feeling. I think the balance was the opposite for me, but I totally had moments where I was like, oh, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And then there would be 2 moments where I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
I also need to like give a, caveat that I'm not a huge fan of Sam Raimi and that kind of like cheesy horror style. But anyways, Belle, what'd you think?
This is the sequel to my favorite Marvel movie in the cinematic universe.
Shut up.
And it takes everything I loved about the original and all of Doctor Strange's other movie appearances and cranks it up to 11 while trying to find a way to raise the stakes in a series about gods, universe-destroying beasts, and wizard kung fu. Yet when the magic of crazy special effects and Sam Raimi's signature style wears off, I'm feeling a little lost in the sauce. 8.2 out of 10.
8.
Nice.
You give it more than David?
Woo!
Actually,
I love Sam Raimi's style.
Yeah.
That was a great slogan, I have to say.
Thank you.
You're doing James's absence justice. Does that make sense?
Justice.
You're a good fill-in for James. He likes the more kind of like wordy slogans. That was beautiful.
I'm going to take up your time.
I almost want you to repeat that because it was so nice.
Do you like other Sam Raimi movies? Do you like the Spider-Man movies and whatnot?
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. And like, there's so many Evil Dead references and stuff like that we'll get into. But if you don't like Sam Raimi, you won't like this movie. And that makes sense why it's a lower rating for you because it is very Sam Raimi.
I think I forgot that it was Sam Raimi until like the second half. And then I was like, why is this so cheesy and kind of weird and dorky? And I was like, oh, right, it's Sam Raimi.
Oh, Mia was when the attack happens when he's at the wedding, and then there's all the people like the innocent bystander shots of people running like with their hands up. I'm like, oh, we're in a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah, that whole octopus thing in the beginning sort of felt like the Green Goblin attack.
Yeah,
Spider-Man. Did he do that? Spider-Man 1?
Yeah, and 1 and 2 and 3.
Sam Raimi. Okay. But I want to talk about Sam Raimi a lot after our sponsor. Thanks to Secret Lab for sponsoring today's episode. Secret Lab chairs are engineered to keep you comfortable for long hours at work and play, if you catch my drift. Their Titan Evo 2022 series chair offers 4-way lumbar support, comes with a magnetic memory foam head pillow, it's very cushy, and is offered in different upholsteries like hybrid leatherette, softweave fabric, and our favorite here at the show, Napa leather. With up to a 5-year extended warranty and 49-day return policy, you're covered if anything goes wrong. So learn more about Secret Lab at lmg.gg/secretlabtjm. All right.
This movie moves at such an incredible clip that I don't really remember what happens. Riley, can you enlighten me?
I'll let you know. When a multiverse traveling teenager named America Chavez shows up in New York, pursued by demons, superhero sorcerer Doctor Strange, and Belle's favorite guy in the multiverse, asks Wanda Maximoff for help, but Wanda reveals that she is the one chasing Chavez because after acquiring the ancient spellbook called the Darkhold and becoming the Scarlet Witch, she now believes that killing Chavez and absorbing her powers is the only way Wanda can reunite with Billy and Tommy, the fake children she created when she enslaved the town of Westview. See WandaVision, the show, for that details. And who she now knows to exist for real in another universe because she's seen them in her dreams. Strange refuses to surrender Chavez, so Wanda attacks, killing many sorcerers and capturing the Sorcerer Supreme, Wong, before Chavez accidentally teleports herself and Strange to Earth 838, where Wanda's boys are real. Wanda uses the Darkhold to dreamwalk, possessing her Earth 838 counterpart, but when a surviving sorceress sacrifices herself to destroy the Darkhold, Wanda forces Wong to lead her to Mount Wundagore, an ancient demonic ruin, to re-establish the Dreamwalk. Meanwhile, Strange and Chavez are captured by Earth 838's Illuminati, a group consisting of Sorcerer Supreme Mordo, Captain Peggy Carter, Black Bolt, Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel, Reed Richards, and Charles frickin' Xavier.
Fuck yeah.
They're not sure if they can trust Strange, but before they can decide, Wanda murders them all, except Mordo. The 838 counterpart of Strange's ex-fiancée, Christine Palmer, helps him and Chavez escape into a pocket dimension holding the Book of MacGuffin. But Wanda appears and destroys it, capturing Chavez and sending Christine and Strange into another universe destroyed by multiversal incursions. There, Strange defeats that universe's version of himself, who had been corrupted by the Darkhold, and uses it to dreamwalk into the corpse of the other alternate Strange that died protecting Chavez at the beginning of the movie. With Wong's help, Strange stops Wanda's spell from killing Chavez, who opens a portal to 838, where Wanda sees Billy and Tommy recoil from her in fear while crying for their real mother. Wanda relents and sacrifices herself to bring down Mount Wundagore, destroying all copies of the Darkhold throughout the universe. Sometime later, Chavez begins training as a sorceress, and Strange develops a third eye as a price for using the Darkhold. In a mid-credit scene, did you see it?
Yep.
Strange is approached by a sorceress played by Charlize Theron, who leads him into the dark dimension to fix an incursion that he caused. That third eye looked real dumb.
It was so bad.
It was really
so bad.
The first time it happened with the evil Doctor Strange, it was like bad, but it wasn't as bad. But that mid-credit one, full visibility,
it didn't
buddy.
look
It like
real.
moves around.
It literally looked like someone went in Photoshop and just pasted an eye on his face.
Or they like manually tracked in After Effects. Like they moved a frame and they're like, that's close enough. And
it was so strange.
It was
but
really
anyways,
bad.
let's talk about the good stuff, which the burden is on you guys to talk about.
Let's talk about the characters. I think they do a lot with Doctor Strange. I'm curious what you think, why you think Doctor Strange is your favorite, but I've always liked that he was kind of the biggest dick in the MCU. He's like always been an asshole, and they almost push it too far just to differentiate him from Tony. But in this, I think they do a really good job with his arc of taking him from, like, he's a restrained asshole and he feels a burden of responsibility, but by the end of the movie, he's had to learn to be humble and see others first. And I really like what they do with that arc.
Yeah, he's extremely logical. So I don't like Tony Stark because I find it's just snarky. He's just a jerk who's rich. I don't like it. He doesn't have a superpower. Doctor Strange gets his superpower texting while driving. He is a jerk too, but he's very logical. Everything he does is like, yes, it makes sense, so I'll do it. Not because, he feels challenged to do so, just because it like makes sense.
What in the world?
So like even
when you told me last week that Doctor Strange was your favorite superhero, I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Not necessarily my favorite superhero.
Oh, your favorite Marvel MCU guy.
Yeah,
person.
For sure. And definitely like the favorite movies and everything, because it's like Inception. The effects are unbelievable, and this one the effects are even crazier.
There's some really cool
ones.
But I will say that I might suffer from like a recency bias or a primacy bias. I forget which one it is, but I think probably I like Tony Stark because I saw him first, and then like Doctor Strange comes later, and he's a very similar character. So I'm kind of like, oh, they did Doctor Strange again, but he's a doctor, like an actual doctor now. I don't know, because I feel like everything that you just said kind of also applies to Tony Stark. Like he's cocky and stuff, but then he goes through this whole arc of like learning that overconfidence and like it isn't always the solution, and you don't know everything, and you need to like work together with other people.
So
and
like Doctor Strange, because Tony's dead. You
don't
get him anymore. This is your replacement.
And I feel like I never really had like a big problem with the character of Doctor Strange. I think I just like the first movie was, it was just kind of like,
I think the first movie is better than you remember, but it's still definitely like that usual MCU origin film with like stellar effects. And I think that's what really elevates it, is those stellar effects and like the sequences and the imagination that went into all those sequences.
Yeah.
So
there were some like mind-blowing visuals in this one.
I usually am excited when I see Doctor Strange in a movie because it means that there's some element of magic or like trippiness that will be included. And I think they really delivered on that in this movie. There's a lot of like weird mind-bendy stuff or just interesting ideas. And I'm like, oh, they're doing that in the MCU. That's exciting.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this one didn't blow my mind as much as the first Doctor Strange. Like the first Doctor Strange movie kind of like has that sort of like Inception / Matrix vibe going on where like they're out in the streets and then they're like using the mirror dimension, and so like the streets are kind of flipping upside down and things are like morphing, and the main bad guy, I forget his name, but
Mads
Mikkelsen's character, he's like his like sorcery involves doing all this like weird like architecture morphing thing going on, and it's like whoa, that's cool. I haven't really seen that before in a movie.
Yeah.
But I don't think I ever really saw anything in this movie that I had not seen
it's just
before.
I was going to say it's like smaller scale but different. Where again, there's some Mirrorverse stuff, but it immediately changes because Wanda takes advantage of that, so they can't use that at all, really.
Right.
But you see different magic effects and attacks they use, where they're using a lot of physical things.
Yeah.
Where in the other movies they just conjure things out of thin air. In this one, everything is based on stuff around them.
Yeah.
Which I thought was an interesting shift in that way.
I think this what is that? What do you mean by that?
So like the music fight with Sinister Strange, they're actually taking the notes off and using it. They're like taking things that are around them and kind of imbuing them in magic.
I kind of like the scrappiness of some of the fights, like when Strange traps her in the mirror dimension and she tries to like rip it apart, but it's actually trapped to kill her. If she does, like it becomes shards that attacks her, and so she has to slow down and like go calmly through it. And then you're like, oh, she can kind of go through the mirror, all right. But then you find out that that's how she's gonna like get in there. She's gonna move through the reflections, and then they're trying to cover the reflections. And she fucking crawls out of the gong.
It was so good.
Man. That was real like horror movie monster vibe.
Oh, there's a lot of horror movie monster stuff. But I think my favorite creative use of the powers is when he takes control of the corpse Strange, and then the spirits are like, "This is against the law of nature. You can't do it," and it sends him back. But then she's like, dude, you're a sorcerer. Christine's like, you're a sorcerer. Take these spirits. And then he uses them as a fucking cloak, flies with them.
Makes some wings.
And then they fucking, they eat Wanda's power. That was like one of the sickest moments in this movie when they like cover him and then they like absorb her power by swallowing it. I was so pumped. I thought it was so sick.
See, like, I will say, I'm not trying to bash, but like, this is exactly the type of stuff that kind of like, I feel like I'm being jerked around because like, okay, we got that moment where she's like, you're a master of the mystic arts, use them. But before that, it's like these like super cheesy skeleton spirits, and like it's like pinning her down. One of them is pinning Christine down, and it's like he's gonna eat her, and she's like holding off. This is what I don't understand about things that like deal with like spirits and stuff. It's like they're non-corporeal. You can't kick it off, you know?
Well, that's why she finds a cannon somehow.
So what was that?
I know, she's like, cannon.
Did she say cannon? I couldn't hear what she said. She looked at the thing and it's just like, I'm like, what was it, huh? Yeah. And then she's like, somehow she
puts a candle with it. She just knows.
I'm guessing it was set up in some previous movie.
Gas flamethrower thing.
Audience, please let us know what that was.
Because I was very confused. The multiverse, which also was made up.
Oh, fair, because she might know more because she's in a universe that's more aware of.
I guess so. Yeah. Stuff. So anyways, like it went from that being so janky and weird, and I was like, what the hell's going on? But then when he was controlling them, and you don't really know what he's doing with them at first, and then he just kind of like turns it into this cape and like blasts off towards the thing. I was like, okay, I'm back.
So sick.
You got me back now. But I think it's like that's kind of like jerking around from like this is weird and cheesy. That's dumb to like, okay, that's pretty cool. It's like, what the.
That's the Sam Raimi way.
Yeah, it's true.
It's campy and awesome all rolled into one.
Yeah.
And I think that this movie didn't have me the whole way. Especially at the beginning, I found myself just like things were moving too quick where I had a hard time to let anything breathe, let anything like really settle in. So it took a long time before any emotion really hit me. And I think it was seeing Charles Xavier that opened my heart to this movie.
That was crazy.
Okay, but that scene again is like undercut by having John Krasinski as Reed Richards. I was just like, what?
But people have been asking for that.
Yeah, people have been asking for it.
That's so weird. Such a weird casting choice, and I don't believe him for a second that he is who he is.
Like smartest man.
He's just like, hi, I'm Jim. cosplaying.
Yeah, it's
as
like
Reed
they know
Richards.
it's a cameo, so he's like really hamming it up.
Yeah, but like, John Krasinski is not a bad actor. I've seen him in a bunch of other stuff, and it's like, okay, he can act. It's just like I just feel like that's
he
a
acts
bad
as a
casting
CIA
choice.
agent in every other movie he's ever been in, so he could play that one role.
He's done
really
other
well.
stuff, but like, yeah, I watched the Jack Ryan series, and it took a while for me to be like, is this Jack Ryan though, or is
he
this
does have a very specific baby phase. I don't mind him, especially because he's pretty quickly dispatched. I like that whole Illuminati alternate mirrorverse. I thought it was fun, like seeing Peggy. Because we've seen her in
Captain
What
Carter,
If, but like we actually
right.
see Captain Carter, LaShonda Lynch as Captain Marvel. It's like, okay,
Right.
we've seen her in Captain Marvel, but now she gets to play it. It's also a good reminder for people that may have seen Captain Marvel who avoided it. Like, oh, that's a character that will be returning. And I wondered in that scene, I'm like, how many of these people will be returning? Because I literally like squeed when I saw Patrick Stewart. I was so
Can
fucking
you do the
excited.
sound? What is it?
Okay, I can't remember exactly what noise I made, but it was like a audible, like I heard his voice first, and I definitely gasped. I was like,
I did too. I don't even watch X-Men. And I was like, what?
yeah.
See, I feel like I knew that scene was going to have some sort of like alternate universe thing going on. Like I thought that maybe they'd have Tony Stark sitting there because in the comics, Iron Man is one of the Illuminati. But no, they didn't. He's done. I guess he's fully done.
Yeah. I'm curious what you think, because I before I saw this movie, I saw someone describe this movie as the Last Jedi of the MCU. And
Wait,
it's just,
what?
It's
Really?
interesting, and I think what they're talking about is specifically that sequence where they like give you a bunch of shit you want. They give you these characters. You're like, oh man, yeah, they're bringing X-Men into this shit. But then they're like, just kidding, he's dead.
Well, I don't know. I don't think that's a fair comment. As someone who was sent into a spiral of depression after The Last Jedi, I don't know if that's super fair for this one. And this is why I love the MCU and why Star Wars is hard, because Star Wars, there's one canon.
Yeah.
In the in Marvel, there's a million universes, and we just like hopped into Universe 838. The people that we all saw die weren't the original 616 people or whatever, right? Because like, okay, yeah, we're introducing a multiverse and there's a million versions of every character, but we're still going to go ahead with 616 as the home base. It's like that's the characters that we actually care about. So in 838, like that's the great thing about the multiverse. You can hop into another multiverse and have alternate versions of the characters and explore different things with them and murder them all. Yeah. And it was a great scene. I loved that scene. It felt like really like The Boys, like Invincible energy, where it's just like, yeah, this is like this cool thing that you superhero guys really like to see. Bam, they're all fucking murdered.
It gets Darth Mauled. It was so good.
Yeah.
Holy crap, yeah, when they cut Peggy in half. This movie is like wildly violent for an MCU movie in the best way, where it's not like we're going to put as much gore and violence as we can. They're really smart and effective. Like Black Adam, that scene where he's Black Bolt, because you've seen him destroy Strange by like yelling or whatever, by whispering, and they're like, with one whisper, he's gonna kill you, Wanda. Like with one whisper out of his mouth, he's gonna kill you, Wanda. He's like, with what mouth? Yeah. And then it zooms out.
So good.
And then he screams, and then his fucking head, like, just like,
and then it got like soft.
It gets soft. It's not that violent. Just eyes go red and shit. But it's so effective. You're like, everyone in the theater was like, oh,
yeah, it was gruesome.
Yeah,
no, that was
really
a great
gruesome.
moment.
But
like,
Doctor
probably,
Strange was too. The original, like if you watch it, it's definitely more graphic than the other ones. Like nearer to the end. Spoilers for that one if you haven't seen it. He's like rewinding back time to save the Kermitage, and it shows like a woman getting off the ground and like the blood going back into her head.
Oh, that's
stands
cool.
up, and I was like, this is the first Marvel movie where I remember there being a lot of blood.
But that's okay to show because she's being healed.
Yeah, it's like, it's just going back into her. It's okay.
Yeah.
But
you can show all manner of grotesque injuries as long as it's okay after.
yeah. But this is the first one, where I was like, whoa.
Yeah, some good ones.
Whoa.
I was shocked. I mean, like that's the part of the Sam Raimi influence that I really, really appreciated in this movie. Like, I like when Marvel can kind of like bring you along on their little journey and you feel comfortable because you're like, this is Marvel. They make nice stories about superheroes that everyone wins in the end, and then like they can be like, just kidding, bitch. Like, and then,
you see Reed Richards get spaghettified.
Yeah.
That was very Game of Thrones.
Man, all of their deaths were like, so satisfyingly visceral as well.
Yeah.
Like he's like just slowly unravels, and then it kind of gets up to his head, and his head just pops.
And Captain Marvel getting the arm, the classic like get crushed and the arm just falls. I'm like, look at cartoon.
I mean, that was pretty cheesy.
The one,
so good.
The one death that made me mad, and it might just be that I was like excited that he was part of the universe was the Xavier one. I thought it was kind of a shitty death, and they don't let him do enough. Like, it's cool that he has this like mental conflict with Wanda, and he goes inside her mind, and he's trying to pull the Wanda of that universe out. I think that's cool, but then Scarlet Witch pops in, and then in the universe snaps his neck, and then in real life snaps his neck. And I felt like I wanted him to have a moment where he was like kind of above the conflict, and he was like actually breaking through to her.
Just a shock.
Because the moment when he talks to Strange and like Mordo is like, we have to make sure we keep him under control. We can't do this. But Xavier's like kind of helping him, and he's like, I'm gonna extend an olive branch and like show you my trust.
I hated that.
Really, I love that.
It didn't make any sense.
No, I loved it.
Lock him up. And as soon as Wanda shows up, he's like, never mind. You can go get the book.
Xavier didn't say lock him up.
But everybody else did.
No, but I think
that's like immediately like flips, and it's like
the movie doesn't flip. He's a character. He's not the other characters. The other characters said that.
He would agree with everyone else though. And
I don't think so.
Locking him
I had
up.
the sense
that's why you have a council. People have different. People are
didn't even
different.
unlock
Bell.
him. Why didn't he unlock him?
Because he couldn't.
Why?
Wanda attacked. He didn't have any time. He's like, "You're a sorcerer. Figure it out."
I mean, Tommy just slowly rolled out of the room. I mean,
because Mordo was right there, and he wasn't about to like get in a big fight with Mordo.
When he's not allowed to like step against the council that strongly.
Yeah,
I liked it. I think I liked, and it works for me because he's a psychic character, so he can kind of like quickly assess what that Strange is and what his values are. And I think he assessed him, and he was like, "You're a good person."
Oh, that's true. That's a good see.
But no, he talks about why they did it though, because he explains it. Because he does the mind wave, which I thought was hilarious, because they show the little mind waves coming out of his head.
Yeah, I loved that.
But he's like, "This is why we have you locked up. Like, you're locked up because you're an awful person. Let me show you." And then like 2 seconds later, he's like, "No, never mind. Escape."
He's saying this is why we locked you up because this other version of you. I don't know.
But then he should just be like, "But you're not that version." But he didn't. He's like. And that's why.
Well, because they don't know. They've never met multiverse people.
And he leans
before.
back like he owned him, like at a debate. He's like,
"What the hell, man?"
I like it. I just think that they killed him unceremoniously, and it sucks because that was the most exciting appearance in an MCU movie ever, and they just end it. And I know they could, like you said, there's a multiverse, so they could bring it back.
I do see the dangling though. That is a little.
I was like, that's rude.
Let's talk about Wanda a little bit, because one of the things I did like about this movie was sort of the, she's an understandable villain with an understandable motivation. I mean, it's a little thin that like she'd just be like, okay, what I want is to be with my children because children are precious and I love my children. But I'm just gonna kill this other child, no problem. You know, that's a little thin, but I like that there was like sort of realistic motivation where it's like she's like, I'm a mother and I care about my kids and blah blah blah, and so there's this kind of like dual hero and villain journey, similar to what we saw in Infinity War, where the heroes are trying to stop Thanos and Thanos is trying to collect all the Infinity Stones. And it's like if it was a video game, you could kind of have these like switching between different perspectives, but they're both missions.
Yeah.
I like that.
I really like that this is the first movie where who was once a hero is now the villain. Like we've had kind of like anti-hero hero turns, or like even Wanda was kind of the henchman in Age of Ultron. But I really think it's cool that we've had all this time to know and love her. I think that she goes too dark. Like she kind of is like she's not unredeemable villain, but like when she in the orchard when she reveals that it's all magic, she like kind of relishes the evil a little too much. And I'm like, oh, if like you played it a little bit smarter, like you could have gotten to Carmitage, you could have gotten Erica, like you could have done it. That being said, that first scene you see of her where she's with her kids and then it hard cuts to her awake in her own room. Oh, that was powerful. Good. I was like, oh, she's so alone.
Thank God there was no stinger there. There's so many stingers in this movie, but that one being a silent cut, it was like, oh.
Yeah, it made my heart
good.
And I think she talks about Vision. I think maybe they could have drawn more empathy from us by showing her loss of Vision, but they talk about it. And I think that was a missed opportunity to have us.
Like, they leave it alone. I don't think they want you to think about it, though.
No, that's
They want you to forget that he's out there somewhere.
See, but
and she also picks a universe where there's no Vision.
Yeah.
So it's like they do not want you to think about the fact that
that was annoying. And maybe we'll come back to Vision, but I want to stick on Wanda for a second because I thought that it was like, especially with all the background of like if you've seen WandaVision and you've seen the stuff before that, you know, this turn of her character makes a little bit more sense because you're like, okay, I know that she kind of, you know, she's ostensibly a good guy before this, but then, you know, she was sort of a villain in WandaVision, even though she's the protagonist. But like at the end of WandaVision, she's like, oh no, what have I done? I didn't mean, like, you know, I I did a bad thing, whoopsies, whoopsies, and then she like flies away.
Yeah.
And so in this one, it's like a little bit more of a natural progression for her to go from a good guy to a bad guy. And so I appreciated that. And then there's also the kind of like, supernatural plot reason of like there's a dark hold and it's corrupting her. And
well, that's what I liked as well, is that they're separate. It's like when you, especially with the Professor X scene, you see him trying to get Wanda. Like she is trapped in this body, and you even see it at the end of WandaVision in the post credits, the final episode, where she's on the steps of her cabin, and yet Scarlet Witch is in there studying the book and everything. So it really makes it seem like it started out as something, what was a little bit bad, but like Scarlet Witch took hold, and it's Scarlet Witch, it's not Wanda.
Yeah,
you
sorry.
see the brink of Wanda.
That's fair.
The end credits of WandaVision, is it implying that there's kind of like two personalities?
I thought it was more like the first Doctor Strange, where it was like she's now powerful enough to have some kind of astral projection. Like in the first Doctor Strange, there's him sleeping, and then his astral projection continues to study.
Oh.
I thought it was like that, but I think you're right. It's supposed to show like they're like the dark hold is now like kind of like stretching her power to some dark place.
Yeah, because one of the steps is like her dressed as Wanda, and the Scarlet Witch in the full garb is doing the reading and everything.
It's funny. I think that they did a really good job setting up this movie, but I still found myself wishing they had a movie of like her fall, because it's like the jump from the end of WandaVision to the beginning of this felt a little much. Yes. Like it was kind of like, oh, she's evil? Okay. Yeah,
she's
I guess,
pure
sure.
evil the first time you see her.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting her to like be good and then like have like three things that like push her over the edge, and then she like turns on them, but it's like no, she's betraying them from the first interaction.
Yeah, it feels a bit cheap for us to kind of like have that dream where she's like with her boys and it's all nice, and we're like, oh, okay, maybe, we do feel sad for her, but then it's revealed that, oh, she's just evil the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit shocking. It feels cheap.
What do you guys think of America?
I thought she did fine. I mean, like, I didn't realize that the actress is actually 16.
Wow.
I thought that she, like,
would
usually
be like a 19-year-old.
Yeah, usually they get like a 19 or 20-something person to like play a teenager, but like, yeah, she's 16, and I think that made me forgive her acting a little bit because
she acts like a 16-year-old.
Yeah. But like, she wasn't bad. I don't think I was like, oh my God, but like it was just like a little amateur at points.
Well, it felt kind of like a TV series acting.
Yeah.
Like a Disney Plus show.
CW.
Yeah, which it was fine. And I found her.
It was that bad.
Yeah. I found her plenty likable, plenty charismatic. And the moments that mattered, like when she finally trusts herself, like when Zombie Strange is like, you had this power the whole time, and then she star punches Wanda. I kind of was pretty pumped about it.
I was too.
See, I would have been more pumped. I knew that was coming. I knew that she had like more powers beyond just like jumping universes or whatever. But it just seemed so flimsy. The reason for why she's actually like learning about her powers and stuff. Like where did her arc go? From like,
yeah, it's just like the power of friendship. Like it's just like all of a sudden she has powers.
Like Doctor Strange could have just said like, no, you can do this at any point, and then she would have been like, okay.
I've never tried.
It's not like she had to like overcome some like obstacle that she was like holding in her mind or something. It was just kind of like, oh, I'm actually gonna die now. It's actually happening now. I better turn it up.
Yeah, he should have started training her, and then she refused, or like there should have been like a wavering thing, and then this was a victory of a thing we had been experiencing the whole movie,
right?
Instead of them just like, oh yeah, remember how she has some power, we don't really know what it does? Okay,
right.
yeah.
Or maybe she's like repressing memories of her mom's, and then like every time she thinks about her mom, she's like, no, I can't do it. But then in order to like unlock her power, she has to like remember them fully and just be like, no, I love them.
I will say I was so worried that just the power of friendship would unlock enough star power that she would beat Wanda.
Star power.
But I'm really glad that how she dispatches Wanda is just showing her what she's become.
Yes.
Like I thought that was such a good little like how we beat Wanda is we she's like, I'll give you what you want. Brings her to a universe where her kids are there, but the kids are so scared of her because she's become this full monster.
Yeah.
And then Wanda comes down, she fucking blasts her away. Good. The kids cry. I loved that resolution.
I think I liked it, but it wasn't like love because it did feel like a little cheesy. It felt a little bit like, okay, we have not an anti-hero, but what's the opposite of an anti-hero? Anti-villain. Where she's like a hero, you're kind of rooting for her to pull it together at the end, but she's the villain of the movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of like that sort of situation where we're like, okay, we can't just like kill her because people sort of care about her. So she has to redeem herself and then die. I don't know. It just kind of like,
but
I think that's what always
is
happens.
Such a good line. Like, no, they'll be loved.
Yeah, that was powerful.
Like
that was good. That was good.
I think what for me didn't work was when she goes and kills herself. I get
really?
it. I think it was cool that she lifts the castle and then drops it on herself.
Not have killed herself. There was a little explosion. I'm like, maybe that's a
She
teleport.
very well might be still alive. Who knows?
Maybe.
But
she's the friggin' Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way to close that chapter.
I do agree.
I think they could have done a more clever or a more interesting way of moving us out of whatever this era of Scarlet Witch is.
It's a super tragic arc for Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
She was an orphan raised by an evil organization, sort of started to we're basically adopted by the Avengers, and then sort of started to get her life together, but then just had her family or her love had to kill her lover. Her husband or whatever.
But it didn't matter.
And then just downhill from there all the way until she kills herself. That's a dark story, dude.
That is.
Yeah, she's been through it because she kills Vision to save the universe.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fucking matter. Watch her brother die in her arms.
I think it's this is one of the wonders of the MCU is that we were able to witness this very long character story through multiple movies and a TV show and everything, I'm continually thankful that Marvel has managed to actually get this up and running, this sort of comics consistent cinematic universe across 30 something plus movies. It's crazy. Yeah.
When they all enhance the other, and they do a good job, I think, of explaining what you need to know per movie. There's definitely better jumping on points than others, but I think you could still enjoy most of the movies.
Yeah.
Without.
I think this is probably the easiest one. I don't feel like it progresses anything in the MCU, so I feel like it's the easiest just to watch.
I mean, it kills
you don't
Scarlet
know who
Witch.
Wanda is, but it's still just interesting to be there's an evil witch who wants this kid, and it's a good movie.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of other characters from the MCU, so I didn't watch X-Men. Did I not gain as much from it? No. It's fine.
Yeah, fair enough,
and it
I
didn't
guess.
do anything crazy for future MCU movies. We don't know anything about the next one coming in June. So this one feels
Thor.
really self-contained.
Oh, Thor.
Other than WandaVision. Those two wrapped each other up. And
That's
now it's
true.
just done.
I was kind of feeling oh man, if you didn't see WandaVision, you are really missing out on a lot of context for this. But
I think the movie gives you the context.
I guess some people can well, I don't know. There's definitely some. If you don't understand what happened in Westview and the fact that she created these fake children, then she was oh, actually, I want the real children. I don't know. I think that would be very, very confusing for someone who doesn't understand.
I think you would understand that some magic thing.
You probably wouldn't understand why people are you don't have real kids.
Yeah, you'd be I saw them. They're pretty real.
Yeah, it's what?
I like what they do with Wong too. I think that when he walks out and he fights the monster and he's super badass, but then he kind of gets caught up in the showiness of it and he gets beat.
Yeah,
I'm oh, you've regressed a little bit. Now you're Sorcerer Supreme. You're a showy bastard.
Yeah, I like Wong as sort of a consistently cool character to have as a fan favorite. Basically, it's you can't not like Wong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I like how him and Steven's relationship progresses in this, where he's like, Steven, you should bow to me. That's the thing. And you see the other masters bow. But at the end, Steven eventually, through his arc of humility, does actually bow. I thought that was a nice moment.
I totally missed that. When does he say you should bow to me?
Oh, several times.
Yeah. He's that's the tradition. Is because he's Sorcerer Supreme.
Several times throughout the movie that you should bow to me?
Not
and then when he sees other people doing the bowing and stuff like that.
Tradition.
It does happen.
It's a joke.
That's what that was. Yeah. I heard him say, see, it's tradition. I was like, what is he talking about?
So they're talking about bowing because we know that Steven resents that Wong is Sorcerer Supreme because he was blipped, and so he.
Oh, does he say it when they're taking on the octopus creature and they initially just kind of team up and they're then they throw the chains up on the thing? Is that when he says it? Oh, okay. I heard something and I missed it. Yeah. So that sucks.
Shout out to also, I love in that scene when they throw their chains on the thing and then it crawls up the thing and they just fucking get pulled and slam against the wall.
They then just hold on. They don't do anything. They just go up with it. It's all right, there's waiting.
Sometimes I'm kind of frustrated by the limitations of, well, not limitations, but these sorcerers can conjure basically anything, and they always do these little ropes and little weapons and
especially
stuff.
This one where it's like, the saws work. You just sawed off its tentacles.
Yeah, just keep going.
Why don't you just make another one of those big buzz saws and go bzzz?
It's interesting. I definitely felt like they reverse power creeped the sorcerers in this movie. Like I feel like in the first Doctor Strange, they felt so infinitely powerful.
Yeah.
Like certainly Doctor Strange did. But maybe I say it doesn't have the time stone anymore.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because I went back and watched the end of Infinity War, and I was like, wow, when he had the time stone, that was insane.
Yeah.
I don't think the time stone lets him do all these like crazy things that he did in like the Thanos fight, for example, though. That was like trippy.
Yeah,
he was like
made,
turning, he was like transmogrifying things and like multiple versions of himself, and like there's like a million things you can do, but then like all we basically ever see Wong do is make that little like spear rope thing.
Yeah, he did the scorpion like.
Can they not like kind of like levitate themselves at all? Like I know they can.
No, they can glide down.
They can glide down. They can't levitate. That's why he needs the cloak. The cloak is why how he can
cloak
fly.
was a star in this. I loved how I got
I don't
the motorcycle.
I don't believe that sorcerers couldn't figure out some sort of levitation spell.
Can.
What?
Well, Wanda's
can.
Yeah,
like
she's a witch.
It's
she's
different. Sorcery and magic.
They always say that they're like, oh, it's runes. It's a witch, and I'm like, so there's a difference.
Yeah.
But what is that?
That was
difference?
an interesting difference that they made in this movie between like sorcery and witchcraft, because it's like, okay, sorcerers wouldn't use runes, but I feel like sorcerers have used runes.
It's like in the imagery of all of the stuff they do, but I guess they don't use physical runes.
I feel like Doctor Strange. I feel like there were runes involved in when Doctor Strange like opened the multiverse in Spider-Man.
You would think so,
right?
Also,
you would think there would be runes.
Where needs more runes.
Yeah.
I like what they do with Christine as well. That's her character, her name, right?
Yeah.
Christine.
I think McAdams.
I think they do a really good job with the marriage scene of setting up that tension where it feels like there is some kind of like relationship tension and like there's more they want to say, but they get it out in such a small amount of time. And I felt that sadness in Strange. And I felt like that loneliness. I think they do a really good job making Doctor Strange feel really lonely.
I feel like I missed a movie or something, or they're retconning in how close their relationship was. Because I watched the first Doctor Strange, and the whole time it's like he uses her as a tool. He goes in when he needs help. He goes in when he needs help. And then he never sees her again when he's Doctor Strange. And then it's like, I was so madly in love with you, but I just didn't know how to express it. And I was
like,
when?
And I forgave it because it's like whatever, they just needed to.
Yeah.
But I did like that the 8 through 8 Christine had red hair. I'm like, she's different. She's got
that red hair looked
very red hair.
That red hair looked pretty bad.
It was awful.
Yeah.
So red.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
So
it was like wine red. I was like, okay.
Yeah. She's a wine mom, maybe.
I didn't know until recently that she was originally offered the role of Pepper Potts. She was supposed to be like Pepper Potts, but she said no and then reconsidered once the MCU kind of started taking off. Because when Doctor Strange was going off, like that, by that point the MCU was already a pretty big thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you could have been Pepper Potts, baby.
She's gone.
Yeah, I guess she's gone now.
She was she was okay. I don't know. It seems like kind of a boring character overall.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason she's not in anything but Doctor Strange.
I think they made it a bit more interesting by having her be like, oh, I became a multiverse scientist in this other universe, which was like a bit too convenient, but fair enough. This is a comics movie, that's what they do. But I don't know. I never really felt like, maybe that's just Rachel McAdams. No offense. But I feel like she just kind of is like a bleh.
I feel like she did
actress
act
a lot of
this,
the time.
Though. Like this was purposeful because I actually think she's a pretty decent actress. And she was very like stoic in this movie the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. I think she has given good performances in the past. I don't think I haven't really thought that she's bad as an actress. I think that definitely in this movie it felt a little wooden, a little blah, a little gray.
It was a weird choice.
Yeah.
It was just like, okay.
She definitely felt like she was just basically there to support Strange's arc.
Yeah, for sure.
And I didn't really understand who she was as a person. But can we talk about? Well, we've been talking about good and bad things the whole time, I guess. I want to talk about the Comitage attack really quickly.
Really quickly.
Because the pacing, you mentioned the pacing was kind of
wonky.
Too fast in the beginning. And that was one of the main parts where I noticed that, where they were like, he goes to meet Wanda, and then she walks away, and she's like, yeah, prepare yourself or whatever, because you're not going to meet Wanda. It's going to be the Scarlet Witch. Blah, 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 walks away. And then they're in Comitage, and they're like, they're having a council meeting or whatever. And Strange is like, yeah, so it didn't go well. She's going to come attack. And they're like, okay, And then they acted as if it was like happening right then, which it was, I guess. It's just like
it was weird.
She did say like by sundown.
Yeah.
But they just watched the fog roll in. I was like, they're just standing there.
Well, it wasn't sundown yet, but then I guess it was like the clouds are coming in and she's making it sundown. I
love that shot of all the people like looking up and like darkness coming. Like I think that's a cool shot, but I agree. It's just like, I'm gonna attack soon. She's gonna attack soon. She's attacking.
Yeah.
Just like, okay.
She's attacking.
Yeah.
Wizards, put up your hands.
It just, maybe it was just the fact that the conversation seemed kind of calm. Like, all right, we better plan for this to happen in the next,
Yeah, it didn't feel like a final showdown.
Or a few hours.
Because like in their universe, this is the final showdown. It's like, if we don't stop her, the universe is dead.
And then it was just like battle stations, and suddenly everybody knows exactly where to go and what to do. It's like, we just had the council meeting that this was happening.
I think that whole sequence is okay. I love when she's like first does her attack, but then they shield and she can't get in, and she like kind of is looking at and she's like, who's the weakest? Who's the weakest? And she finds him and then like whispers in his ear.
He didn't look like the weakest guy.
Yeah, dude. I thought very weak. That was sick.
It was.
She just whispers,
pops around from behind his head.
That was fucking
I think they
cool.
did a good job of making her kind of scary.
Totally.
I was kind of like creeped out by her.
This is a scary movie.
And that whole sequence, that attack was great. It was like satisfyingly brutal.
Yep.
Where it's just like, no, it's one person. It's like, and it really gave monster movie vibes there as well, because it's like you have all these powerful sorcerers and they can't do shit, and people are just like getting flown around.
That's the one thing I didn't like, is that there were a lot of people left after that.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I was like, it looked like everybody was just
and then when
dead.
they come back to the rebuilding Kamar-Taj and there's just like everyone's still alive.
Yeah, I
like,
was like, oh.
Yeah, I was confused as well about that.
But it was very, very
But I guess that they were just like, all right, we're getting tooled out here. We need to go.
We also get the first piano sting in that scene as well, when she tries to detect America Chavez, and there's a piano sting, and she looks up, and it looks up at America Chavez's character, like or her character, and then it's like she knows where she is in the Kamar-Taj.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
that's cool.
That felt so good. Again, just to really accentuate Wanda's powers, because some of them are very subtle, like just finding where she is and making that a horrifying experience for you too, where it makes it feel like,
yeah, she
I've
knows.
been found.
Totally.
I don't believe you, Belle, when you say these things. You really love. I don't believe you.
Don't notice like the piano like.
No, I know it was just fine, but
it
like
feels so good.
It just was like this whole movie just was kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool.
But when's the last time like you saw or heard that in a movie? Like
what, a piano, bling.
Just a silence in a Disney movie, and then a sting. Like Disney movies always have something in the background. Music,
you know what?
There's silence.
You know what it is? I think because it's a Marvel movie and like cool little moments, like, because it is a cool moment, I'll give you that. Like I think like cool little moments like that are happening sort of throughout the movie, but they're sandwiched in between all of these like crazy big blockbuster popcorn moments that I'm just kind of like, I can't appreciate it because the movie hasn't done enough to kind of like get me into this like space where I'm like leaning forward in my seat. I'm leaning back. I'm like on a roller coaster or some kind of ride, and I'm just like, all right, here we go. And then the kind of cool horror movie moment happens, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. But
that's
it's not
why I
like
like it. It's because all of a sudden it's a break from that.
Yeah, but it happens too fast. Like how do I describe this? I don't know. It's like the movie has to be slower moving for that to have weight, because as it is, everything has a ton of weight. And it's like all these big, giant, heavy things smashing into each other the whole time. So then I'm desensitized to the things that have weight. Whereas in another movie where it's not trying to like blow my mind away with like crazy mind-bending spells, exploding things every 3 seconds. In that scenario, it doesn't faze me at all. This like cool little artsy moment. It's just kind of like, I guess Marvel saw a movie where that happened and now they put it in this one.
I think that's a hard thing to debate of like what the big moments, how they impact you, and it's like what the pace of reactions were. Because for me, the cool moments were so cool that I just enjoyed them and they really resonated with me. And so like when it's all these little changes, I'm like still feeling those positive vibes. So to me, the changes and like the kind of jarring parts of it didn't bother me at all, because I'm just like still reeling from like the cool shit that just happened.
Right.
Like when it's like the full monster vibes and it's Wanda possessed by the Scarlet Witch and she's just like monster walking down the hallway, and they're like trying to close the doors and shit.
Yeah, she's like a deadite, just like
okay,
limping down the hallway.
That worked for you guys?
Most of it until they close the really heavy doors, and they're like, "Is that going to stop her?"
In the slow motion as they wait, just to a jump scare.
Yeah, I know. I was like, "Oh, okay."
That, like, honestly, I feel like that kind of broke the movie for me because I was like, "This is so dumb." Like, it was sort of working, where it's like she looked great, she looked scary,
so scary,
she had crap all over her face
when she's just ripping doors apart and stuff.
There's that shot. The Tesla bots.
There's that shot where like
they're like mini Ultrons.
Yeah, they're
Ultrons.
Which is cool. Yeah. There's that shot where her face like passes under a shadow and you see her red glowing eyes.
Yeah.
And it's like there's the canted angles and the like crazy music and they're like it really felt like a monster movie where they're like running through a tunnel or something. But then I'm like, wait, Scarlet Witch can fly. She has this crazy magic. Why is she limping after them slowly? It was like so frustrating. And then all of a sudden she blasted open like several doors. And then they get to another door and they close the door and she just stands there and waits for the door to close.
100%.
I'm like, what the fuck is this right now?
Well, and
this doesn't make any sense. And then the movie's acting as if it's like, oh, the tension. Oh, did we stop her? Did this door that she blasted through 3 of the other ones? Maybe she won't blast through this? I'm like, this is dumb.
100%. And it's like, even if you hadn't seen her blast through 3 other doors, she's like a multi-dimensional, like super sorcerer.
Yeah.
You think a fucking metal door is going to stop her? Like she can jump between fucking universes at this point.
And so that's fair enough. But like if they didn't do the blasting, to me, like I guess the biggest problem with that scene is the fact that she blasts through 3 of the other doors. And then I'm like, okay, this doesn't make any sense that she would just like limp after them slowly. But like if there was only one door, if they were following through, like if they were getting through a tunnel and then there was one door and they closed the door and she didn't blast through right away, I wouldn't be like, why didn't she blast through the door? Because I haven't seen her blast through the doors before.
She can't blast through that last door because then the trap wouldn't work. They wouldn't be able to make it flood.
Exactly. And that's why it's fucked because it's a plot reason.
It's got horror movie tropes. If he wants to make a scary movie, you're going to suffer from the scary movie stuff.
Yeah.
And especially because even in that running scene, if you don't care about the doors exploding, it's got rubber banding where she's 5 feet away from them. Now she's 40 feet away from them.
Yeah.
Now she's 10 feet away from them.
But that's all fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that. It's just like when they fail to account for just regular logic and reason. Like you can, like I think there are some horror movie tropes that really work in this movie. I'm not saying you can't have like horror, oh, we got to cover up the reflections. Like that really felt like kind of like a demon monster movie type of situation. And that really worked. But you have to think about the fact that like this doesn't make any fucking sense. The fact that she blasted through these. Anyways, I don't want to talk about it for a long time. It was just like I think that was the moment in the movie where I was like, all right, this is dumb.
Oh yeah, that was very dumb.
I kind of checked out at that point.
Yeah, shout out to one of my favorite horror movie moments when Mordo starts talking about dreamwalking, and it's so sinister that all the candles extinguish
and the transitions are fading.
Yeah, I fucking loved it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I wanted to clap at that moment.
Yeah,
I was just like, I love that. And then when he drugs the tea and it does a circle fade on his face.
Yeah, I love that.
I laughed so hard.
You laughed?
Full dream.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, is that a Sam Raimi thing or something?
Well, the dream lens where it's like bending in the lens, he's done that in a lot of movies.
The circle fade to just him, I don't think that's a Sam Raimi thing. I just think it's hilarious.
I loved it.
Yeah, that was another moment where I was like, what the fuck was that?
You passed out. You know, that's how you feel. You don't pass out and your vision goes.
No, but it was just a dumb, I don't know. It was just like a cheesy, weird.
That's how he does.
Yeah,
that didn't make me like take points off or whatever. I was just kind of like,
it's the same thing with
that's a weird transition to
Zombie Strange's makeup. It's very campy. Yeah. It's not high quality. We know they can do better, but it's just like fun horror movie.
Yeah. At that point, I had accepted that the Raimi influences, and I was just kind of like, all right, whatever. Although there's no reason that this dead guy should have looked like that. Has it even been a day?
Well, we don't know. We could have been more time passed in that universe. Like we don't know how long they've been there.
I guess so.
It's fine. It's for the fun of it, and it's like very Evil Dead makeup. Like it's very Deadite, which I loved. And like they do something with his makeup where I feel like he's more zombie and he becomes more and more human as they need him to emote more. And when he gives that speech to America and then winks,
his mouth movement too is awesome. It looks like it's a different frame rate. It's like moving really different.
Yeah, and there's like that like gapped, exposed mouth. And it's also like he might be especially rotten because he was like scarred by that monster, like that demon, like he was or corrupted. So even before he was alive, he's all black and shit. So it might be that he's been corrupted. So he's
if they come out and say, "Oh, he's from a different universe and they have different bacteria, so it was like going faster or something,"
no, I think it's the magic. Okay. I actually think that explanation would be pretty good for me. Is he got corrupted by that monster before he died? Like the black was the spreading or whatever.
If they come out with some sort of plot reason and they explain it or some in like a director interview or something.
Also, shout out to the moment when Scarlet Witch first gets kicked from dreamwalking, and it's like a match shot of her like waking up in our universe, but then also in that universe, and it keeps cutting between her like as Wanda and Scarlet Witch. That shot was so sick.
That reminded me of Everything
Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, because it's like the multiple trying to talk, and she's talking in the universe where she's not with her kids as well. I loved that.
And like the kind of like being able to mentally connect to your alternate self or whatever. I was like, hey, that's like that of the movie. It sounds like we're in nitpicks and hitpicks maybe. Nitpicks.
Big hit pick.
Okay.
When the sorcerer stabs the book and just catches fire and is like petrified there, that was
the tear
money.
It was tasteful.
Money.
That was a good moment.
That was money.
I felt that sacrifice. Nitpick for me. Sorry, I don't know. I just thought the whole like dreaming is a window into other dimensions was like kind of cheesy.
Sure.
I don't dream.
But yes, that's my nitpick. It's like, there's no other versions of me. How do you know? Because I've looked, and I never dream. It's like, okay. Like, I don't know. Just like, maybe it was like mostly her delivery.
Maybe.
I feel like if they kind of worked that in, that fact in a different way, it wouldn't have bugged me. But it was just like, and I never know what it's like to dream.
Yeah, I agree.
My life is so hard.
I think world lore wise, that's kind of cool. That's how you would know. But it's just the way it's said.
Hit pick. I liked the memory lane section, where they like stand on it to get the backstory, and it like scans your brain and shows you the memory. Because I like that explanation of how she lost her parents, because it's like that would be the thing that sticks out to her.
I like that we saw that memory, but I don't know. I feel like you're about to say something.
Well, I was going to say the same thing. For me, it's a nitpick, or it's a hit pick into a nitpick, because I really like the visual of that story, and I felt it. I was like, oh man, she really fucked up, killed her parents. Same with like Steven seeing Christine or whatever. But it's just such a contrived thing where it's like, come to the memory store and you can pay to see your memories. But if you just stand outside the memory store, we're just going to show you what you would pay for anyway.
Yeah, Black Mirror fans are in shambles right now. You're just taking down every
they needed a way to have him see her backstory. But we're like, how can we do this? There will be a memory store.
Yeah. Would you rather just be like, let me tell you about how I lost my parents? Like, that's
no, but maybe she's like, oh, I can't control my powers because I can't remember where I came from or whatever. And he's like, maybe I can help you. And she's like, no, it's dangerous. We can try it. And then he like goes into her mind or whatever.
No. Here's what you do is you set up.
Maybe, I don't know. It's freaking magic, man. He can do anything.
No, I have the solution. You set up that in the lore, it's not just connected to your physical body. It's like it's connected to some history. So he needs to see like his universe's Doctor Strange's past. So he has to go to the memory store so he can see like what happened to Doctor Strange or whatever. So he goes there and then somehow she ends up in it. But because there is no version of her, then you get this story. Like you can give a reason why they have to get a memory from Strange.
Right.
And that would have made that so much better. Because I like the tool, but it feels very contrived.
Right.
The way they
both of those things are like plot driven, but one of them feels a lot more natural. Yeah. Like it's one thing to be like, okay, we need to know about her backstory because that will help the movie in general. But it's another thing to be like, okay, they have a reason to they need a method to get to the next step of the plot, where we need to go and find the other Strange. So then this is the solution to that plot problem instead of it being a solution to like, oh, I want to know about her backstory, which is like unnecessary.
I feel like that whole part of the movie, I really liked it on the first time. I thought it was cool. There was like this utopia and like there's all the little things that are happening. Right. But I think on rewatch, I'll be like, man, this part of the movie is just kind of like meandering.
Yep.
Like they're just kind of literally wandering through streets and not really knowing where to go. And oh, there's the statue.
Yeah.
And I think that they could have done so much more with it. Like they needed purpose. Like it's weird that they have such clear objectives and all these things, but then they're just like, we'll just walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something awful gets shown to Doctor Strange and she's like, I'm sure mine will go better, even though I have an awful life. And then they show awful anti-bee propaganda where a bee scares her and her parents die.
Right.
I was like,
oh my God.
Anti-bee.
But leave honeybees
alone. Yeah. No, I hear you.
Nitpick.
Yep.
Illuma, whaty? Never heard of the fucking Illuminati.
Did she say
before.
that?
He says, they're like, the Illuminati will see you now. And he's like, the Illuma, whaty?
Is he joking?
What do you mean you don't know? You've never heard the word Illuminati?
That's stupid.
Yeah. Disney's trying to throw us off the scent to be like, no, see, look, the Illuminati's crazy.
The Illuminati? That sounds... Okay, what is that, a circus troupe?
I have the thought that do you think this is really subtle conditioning of Disney for them to try and get us to, like, see that this is a utopia, that this fascist, like, superhero-led world is a utopia. And, like, if we just let, like, this secret organization, the secret cabal, like, control everything, we would have a better world.
Wait, what are you talking about? Is this a real conspiracy theory?
No, watching this movie, I wondered that, where Disney...
But I didn't get the feeling that the Illuminati was like the world government or something.
Well, I mean, why would they call it the Illuminati?
Well, they're like the...
Why the fuck would they call themselves... Also, why would they call themselves the Illuminati?
They're like the super Avengers. They're not like... They don't like govern. They're not like fascist people. They're just like... They're like the Avengers. They're vigilantes, but just like way better.
But why would they call themselves the Illuminati?
Because they make all the decisions about...
No, but if you're going to say that, then
Dr. Strange.
At least to people that are watching the movie, it's like, oh, it's like a secret cabal organization that controls the world.
So it is really old, though, or I assume, because it is like an actual comic, the Illuminati.
Okay.
Like, it is that group of heroes and stuff like that. I don't know how old it is. Maybe it is.
They were a covert think tank originally consisting of, whatever, these guys. They met in secret for a number of years, sharing information and strategy, operating relatively successfully initially, despite their... each of the original members represented a portion of the Earth's superhuman community and also had great personal power and influence. Yeah, I think it was more about kind of like forming a super Avengers than it was about like, oh, we control everything that's happening. It was just kind of like, we meet to discuss threats and how to deal with it. That it is like...
I like my conspiracy
If you steal a gyro on the street, you're coming to see the Illuminati.
The fact that they have... Well, no, to me, the fact that they have Ultron bots to control and suppress is like, oh, we control and suppress, and that's fine because like everything looks good.
I mean, I think that like, okay,
this is for sure a stretch. I'm for sure.
For sure. I mean, I think that there's definitely room for maybe Marvel to make like a subplot about like the Illuminati and how like, though they say they're protecting us, but really they're not. I think the Ultron bots kind of represent Iron Man's sort of like, oh, we need a suit of armor around the world type of thing. Well,
no, to me, what I think my conspiracy is not that they could tell a story about the Illuminati, is that Disney's trying to be like, hey, see, like, New World Order, that's okay. That's cool.
But I'm curious why you think Disney would want to say that.
Because Disney is the New World Order, bro. Well, Disney's head's still
they bought Star Wars and they bought Marvel. Yep. And next they're going to buy the United States of America. Have you ever
seen the videos about like Disney fascism, like their communities that are like self-governed and shit?
Oh, I see.
And so I think that they're currently under fire, and Florida wants to remove their self-governing status.
Right. For other reasons, but yeah.
Oh, 100%. But I think it'd be interesting. I really don't think it's this, but I think it's fun to conspire.
This is just like a fun little like conspiracy theory you have. Yeah. That like Disney's trying to take over the world.
Honestly, I feel like everything Disney does to me is like there's a conspiracy behind it, and I prefer to live in that that version of reality.
They're like company towns are definitely kind of creepy.
Super creepy.
But I doubt that they have like their corporation's gonna corporation, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Well, speaking of creepy, nitpick, what was up with the statue of Wanda's feet?
Yeah, and it kept being, I guess, like just by the nature of how they framed it, her feet kept being in the back of every shot.
It was like Wanda standing there being dramatic, and then there's like a big, gross pair of feet with like foot-long toes. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Put ballet
slippers
at
on
the castle thing at the top of the mountain, because there's the giant floating Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Like that. So every time she's standing on like the pedestal, the framing shows her statue's feet. And so there's just like Wanda and Wanda feet.
Oh, I did not notice that at all.
I definitely noticed that.
I was looking at the character in the frame.
I couldn't. I just was like,
Hit pick Bruce Campbell as the food vendor. Yes. Loved it. Big, what does it say? Pizza Papa always gets paid.
Yep. I also like to think it's an Eric Andre reference. He gets a pizza ball. Oh. It's like, time to deliver a pizza ball.
Was that Eric Andre did a thing of a pizza ball?
Yeah, he makes a pizza balls.
I hope.
And then it's even like an Evil Dead reference because his hand's possessed and hit him in the head.
Oh, shit, I didn't even think about that.
His hand gets possessed.
You know, I guess we have to do Evil Dead on the podcast at some point because I've never seen any of them.
Watch the second one.
Every time that Bruce Campbell shows up in something or there's some sort of Evil Dead reference, everyone's like, oh, it's a reference to Evil Dead, and I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe that's why I'm coming out of this movie being like, blah, because I don't know. It's just like, I'm like, this is like a Stan Lee being in everything that Sam Raimi makes, but it's like more annoying.
It's funny, I was there with my partner and their kid, and the kid like knew that it was someone, but didn't know who it was because she's never seen, or has only seen like the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans one time. But I was like, yeah, I guess a lot of people just don't know who this person is.
If you see Uncharted and when the Nolan North thing happens, you're like, well, this is clearly somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that was Nolan North. I knew this was Bruce Campbell, but I don't know. I'm just kind of like...
I appreciate every single one of his cameos in the Spider-Man movies. Makes them so good. So good.
Nitpick for me. You guys said it was cool, but I thought it was like the music fight. I was like, as it was happening, I was like, okay, this could turn around at any point and become cool, but like it just kind of kept being like weird and unnecessary.
Like a ball of music.
I was
don't
like,
do enough with it.
What I wrote down was cool idea, I guess, but no, because I'm like, you know, I can see it on the script. Someone's like, and he plucks the musical notes out of the air and then turns them in, and now they're fighting with music notes. And I think it just like the execution of it would, I don't know, it just didn't work.
And it ends up just being like blasting shit at each other anyway. Like I don't think they do enough with the execution of like how music interplays into the scene. It's just like, we're gonna sample like these really commonly used orchestral things and like they'll blast them at each other.
Right.
They could have done something really cool. I also think like I agree with what you said earlier. Like there's not enough crazy trippy shit in this movie. They needed some like real mind bending shit where like they're fighting with music and then like the ground becomes a fucking like stave and like all of a sudden like their music notes fighting like weird like crazy transitions.
Yeah, something like
there was
that.
like one level of weird that this movie.
That's true because they even gave him like he is Sinister Strange, like he's a named villain, and yet he just gets blown out the window and lands on the fence, which is very cool. But I'm like, oh, it's just like every other bad guy.
Yeah.
They get blown off something, and then Sinister Strange, his eye opens, and I was like, that's hilarious.
Wait,
but it doesn't make sense.
Is this supposed to be the same Doctor Strange from What If?
I didn't watch What If. So.
I only watched the first couple episodes and it didn't catch me.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, Doctor Strange is a pretty big part of the overall like plot line of the whole series, and this guy might have been that guy, but I don't think he was, because he ends up being like kind of a okay. I don't want to spoil her. I'm not gonna spoil What If, I guess.
I want to know.
Should I spoil it?
Go for it.
Yeah,
Spoiler for What If.
Skip ahead 1 minute.
The Doctor Strange from an alternate universe that's depicted in What If, kind of ruins his life because he's trying to forget what he's trying to do. He's trying to get Christine back or something. So then he like dabbles in more and more occult magics, and it's bad. And then he gets worse and worse. He's like infested by all these like demons and whatnot. And then he like tries to get back with Christine, and she's like, "Oh, you're a hideous monster. I don't want to be with you." And then he's like, "Oh no, what have I done?" And then he kind of like sees the light again. And then he's a bad guy, but he's still like looks like evil Doctor Strange with all these like crazy tentacles and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, oh, is that who this guy is? But this guy just seems evil.
Yeah, I don't think he has those tentacles.
Yeah. How many Doctor Stranges are there?
I mean, one for every multiverse.
Yeah.
Probably not one for every, probably less.
Nitpick. Where was Ned at the Kumartage? He
Yeah.
was like using he was a proficient user of the slingy.
Oh yeah.
He like used it all. I was like waiting for the cameo to see Ned there.
But I wonder if when he got his memory wiped of Peter Parker, they reset.
Oh right, he got his memory wiped.
Yeah, but not of Spider-Man. So I was like, maybe because like that fight still would have happened.
Yeah.
But I think that like once he forgets
even
about
Doctor Strange is like, I have experience with the multiverse because he helped Spider-Man with all that stuff. So like all that stuff still happened.
Yeah, they talk about the spell or something.
Yeah, so like
Do
that
they?
movie still happened in Doctor Strange's mind. So it must have happened to Ned because
wait,
he
that
was
movie.
Yeah,
No, wait, no.
well, because that movie
The
is what
events
would
of
be
the
erased.
movie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like everything still happens.
Yeah, but
I
I
mean, if they-
figured I just figured that like, you know, a bunch of the stuff that was related to Peter, which would be like, okay, how do I know Doctor Strange? I know him through Peter. Then that gets erased or something. I don't know.
I think it's fine because the movie's already kind of a little overstuffed. They can't fit any more characters in.
I think everyone in the theater was like, "Where the fuck is Ned?" That was the main
We were
thing.
chanting in our theater. Ned.
Where the fuck is Ned?
Nitpick of the first movie, which turns into a hitpick in this one. The broken watch metaphor is really fucking heavy-handed in the first one, where it's like, it's this watch that Christine gave him. It's in this movie, but it's about like, it's this metaphor for his brokenness, and it's really like, okay, film school student boy. But in this one, I like the way they bring it back, and it's like not as overstated. It's just kind of there, but then it's also a tool for him to like, oh, this universe also loves Christine and has this totem of their love as the key to unlock this safe.
Right.
Although I didn't really get the magic of that safe. I didn't really understand.
Yeah.
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
To
I like how
many
they
universes.
I like how they kept bringing back the theme of like, are you happy? And you
Yeah.
know, initially he tells Christine, he's like, yeah, of course. I'm like, you know, I was the doctor, the sorcerer supreme, but I'm like, you know, big powerful guy. How could I not be happy? But then it's like him like confronting the reality that he's not, and then deciding to do something about it. It's a good message.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know.
Hit pick, and this is like one of those just Sam Raimi moments when Wanda first pops into Dreamwalking, and it's a POV shot from her, and she's like, it's like a horror movie where she's like going around the banister. She like steps around and then she like goes back, but it's all in first person.
Yeah,
it's the most Raimi shot.
Yeah, I liked
imagine.
that.
I thought it was good.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah, I definitely liked a lot of the effects, like the ocean in the cup and stuff like that.
Yeah,
when
that was cool.
first being taken over, and like sees the reflection of Scarlet in the reflection.
Yeah,
but
cool.
that kind of leads into a nitpick. That other Wanda, also not a great person, the 838 one. She just murdered all her friends because like we've established that like when you're taken captive, you still know and like watch what's going on, I guess. But like that Wanda that gets dreamwalked just murdered all those people, and she's like, my kids, and just flies off and goes away. I was like, what is that?
You can see everything that's going on when you're dreamwalking? I don't think you can. Where did they say that?
Well, because like you're still in the body, because she's like, get me out of here, get me out of here.
No, but she was like trapped under the rubble. I think that like that's her experience, is that she's just like trapped in the mind somewhere, but she doesn't like see out what's going on. But even if she did, I'd be like, yeah, those people are fucking dead. Like, go, like, you can't do anything about them. Go home. Like, make sure your boys are okay. I don't know. I love Wanda.
Wanda stands.
Nitpick. Okay, those big, huge demons at Wundagur were really cool. I was like getting ready for a fight with them, and then it's just like it's so anticlimactic. They just get blown off the cliff.
And
no
they
problem.
start using magic.
I know, that was like, so useless.
They're like so big, and then he starts like conjuring something.
Yeah,
like,
they like really
on?
hype it up like this is about to be like a crazy ass fight, and then it's just like blah, they're gone. I'm like, what? Like, do you think they did that for time? Maybe it was like, is there a demon fight that they cut?
But it did lead up to the best line in the movie, which is, this time it's going to take more than killing me to kill me. Which I was like, yes.
He could have still said that after. I don't know. After the demon fight. I mean, maybe I'm just like being a basic bitch here. You know, I wanted a big demon fight. You show me big demons. I want a big demon fight.
Man, does Charlize Theron's character, does that do anything for you?
No, I hated it.
I was like,
does that do it? It does nothing for me.
I did not know who you are.
Purple suit, the bad wig.
This is the challenge with how deep the MCU is. There's very few characters that I know that aren't in the movies anymore.
Right.
Like, there's a couple, like, if Ghost Rider showed up, I'd be like, fucking sick.
Yeah, who's like,
really
Clea?
Yeah, I'm like, huh?
We're really, like, expanding into properties that...
Even, like, at the end of Eternals, when friggin' Thanos' brother shows up, I didn't know who the fuck that was until I researched it after. I was like, oh, cool, Thanos' brother. All right.
Yeah, especially when they do all this work to be like, I'm happy without Christine. I can do it. And then they introduce the new love interest at the very end, because in the comics, Clea marries Doctor Strange.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
It's like, you just made him happy being alone, and then it's like,
well, but that makes sense, though, because you can only allow a character to meet to be with someone after they've discovered how to be happy on their own.
I also wonder what the time lapse is between the end of the movie and that post-credit scene, because like, it's all of a sudden this traumatic, I have a third eye, and then she's like walking down the street.
Yeah, it was weird.
Has a third eye, has a scar, but I was like, what is this?
That was weird.
Okay.
That was so weird.
Well, then also the fact that in the post-credit scene, he uses the third eye as like I'm a badass moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so strange.
It was like Kung Pao, where it's like the little tongue on the mouth of the tongue.
I will say that, like, I said earlier that America Chavez, which her real name is, I will definitely not say it correctly. It starts with an X.
So let me look it up, because I have a friend that was called
Xochitl.
Yeah, Xochitl.
Xochitl?
My friend was like that.
Xochitl Gomez.
Xochitl, yeah.
I want to see. I kind of want to see more of her.
Yeah.
I thought that she was like, while the acting wasn't like 100% top notch, I kind of like saw through her performance as an actor the whole time. I'm kind of like, I like your character. I like your origin is kind of like you're figuring out who you are. I like how your abilities are still a bit mysterious.
Doesn't know who Spider-Man is for some reason.
Does she not?
No, because there's a whole joke where it's like, there's a man spider? That sounds scary. Does he look like a spider?
Though.
Does he have a web that comes out of his butt? I'm like, you've been to 72 universes? You haven't met Spider-Man?
That was good.
I loved it.
Yeah, her comic timing seemed to be pretty good.
Yeah. I agree. I want to see more of her. I wonder where they'll put her. Like, I don't know when the plan is for the next Doctor Strange. Maybe there'll be another movie where she'll make sense to fit in. Maybe a TV show?
I think she'll probably be in the movie. Or maybe she'll show up in Miss Marvel.
Maybe.
Although
there's another teenage girl. Maybe they can fit a couple teenage girls in.
Yeah, there'll be one with like Kamala Khan and her. And
well, not like I don't think she'll be a regular. But
well, it's so hard to make it a regular when her only power is going to different universes.
No, but she can Star Punch now.
She has super strength. And spoiler alert, in the comics, she can like fly and blast things. And stuff.
Oh, really?
So,
cool.
Yeah, she's got like crazy powers. Apparently, she throws a megalodon at some point.
That's pretty sweet.
In the comics. So I guess we'll see. Yeah, like a giant shark.
Cool.
You know about megalodon.
Cool word.
Megalodon.
Megalodon.
Do we have any fan service? Okay, so I had a comment from...
A good start.
So at the beginning, before we started recording this episode, I read a comment on our most recent episode, The Northman, from Juan Abreu, and I did not understand what the heck he's talking about.
Juan Abreu? Yeah, no, I was wondering that. Is that
This might be just confusing. I have never seen a poorer argument than Riley's in this video. Sure, dude, men devoid of choice chose the board, ? The whole thing was off, but that was its peak. And then I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I replied and said, wait, can you explain this more? I have no idea what you're talking about. And then he replied.
They replied?
Yeah. So, yeah, I did that at the beginning of the podcast, and he replied while we were recording. He says, when the panel was reviewing points from the Severance episode, Riley was arguing something like, if communism/socialism is the DNA, that point was rather... Okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to...
Make sense of this?
That was fan service, everybody.
So I think what I... Okay, I'm so sorry. Look, Juan, if you're listening, I'll reply. I'll read your comment because you wrote a big comment, and so I'll reply to it. Okay, but I don't know how to take it right now.
I guess that'll lead us into our next segment.
Wait, you don't have any fan service?
No, I don't read comments. It's not true. I read every comment.
Sonic Killer 360 says, I think you all fundamentally misunderstood this film. This is a Norse story meant to be viewed from a Norse perspective, and viewing it from a more traditional perspective, you thus fail to grasp the reasoning behind crucial points of the film.
Such as?
And then he goes on to say that, while we might view the ending of the story as tragic because he dies, in the Norse perspective, it's heroic and righteous because he ensured the safety of his bloodline, avenged his father, fulfilled his destiny, died in battle, and then he went to Valhalla. So it's like, that's fair enough, I guess, but that doesn't mean that I can't criticize that perspective, right? Like, we can come on here and talk about, like, different cultures valuing different things, and I can be like, I think that's dumb.
What is the point of this segment? I thought it was going to be, like, nice things, fan service.
No.
It's just mean things?
Yeah.
Oh.
This is our chance to clap back.
Nice comments only, please.
Well, most comments just say that I'm dumb and I don't know what I'm talking about, so... No, I'm just kidding.
Riley, you're not dumb.
Team Riley.
#Team Riley!
Thanks, guys.
So he did battle me on a lot of opinions. I don't agree with any of his, but Team Riley in the
it just blows my mind that anyone would see Doctor Strange the movie and be like, "Yeah, this is my favorite character." Maybe you like the character, but the movie's middling.
The movie.
Okay, so you think the movie is middling?
Yeah.
No,
but
you smoke weed.
Great.
You smoke weed though.
The movie's great
because you smoke weed.
It's a really good. In intoxicants.
Were you enhanced when you watched the first one?
No, not the first. What? Time. Not the first time. No.
And you love it?
Yeah.
Oh,
the character.
Thank
is
you,
mid.
David.
The character is mid.
I need someone to be like.
The movie is good.
I like
what?
The movie's better than.
The
movie's better than you remember. It's not just like
rewatched it again.
I don't think it's bad. It's just like it's like a 7 out of 10, and I wouldn't go and be like.
Which is the best Marvel movie?
Infinity War.
Yeah. No, that doesn't count. Like the big ones don't count. What about the individuals?
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
That one's bad.
I
mean, jokes about it in this movie where it's like they're all
Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is way better than first Doctor Strange. Thor Ragnarok is really good.
I didn't like Thor Ragnarok. I watched it for the first time for this episode.
What?
Because I was like, oh, Doctor Strange makes an appearance. I got to watch it. I like Taika Waititi a lot, so again, I like those styles.
Civil War is good. Winter Soldier is good.
Civil War is very good. It's cheating. That's like a big boy.
Civil War is a Captain America movie.
But it's not really
an Avengers movie.
I agree. It's like technically a Captain America movie, but it's really like Avengers. But I think Winter Soldier.
But still, my point being is that Doctor Strange is not anywhere near the top.
Agreed.
It's right in the middle.
Yes, it is not the best.
Yeah, it's right in the middle.
I think of the origin films.
You are entitled to your opinions, Bell, and I
Team Bell, not Team Riley. Take away your comments.
I'm the hater on the podcast.
Okay, well, what are you playing?
Whoa.
Man, James isn't even here, but he must be. He's gonna be so happy we went through all the segments.
I know. I love going through the segments.
This is amazing.
Now playing. You have stuff to say.
Yeah, I watched the new Mike Myers series. It came on my Netflix. It auto played, and I was like, "Holy shit, Mike Myers!" And it was like this sort of skit feeling thing where he's like a newscaster at a convention. I was like, I'm gonna watch a skit show with Mike Myers. I put it on. It's like a
Wait, what's it called?
The Pentaveret.
The Pentaveret.
I haven't even heard of this.
I didn't hear about it. I put it on, blind watch. I was like, I'm so excited for more Mike Myers in my life. It turns out it's like a conspiracy show, and it's like this like benevolent like secret organization that's tried to shape the world, and they're trying to save the world. And it's Mike Myers is all 5 of the main members of this.
Wait, this is fictional.
Yeah, it's a fictional thing.
Okay.
And then he's also the newscaster trying to uncover it, and he's also a conspiracy theorist who's trying to uncover it. And there's a lot of people in it that are exciting. That's good, like Keegan-Michael Key,
Mike Myers,
Mike Myers, Ken Jeong. It is unbearable. It is one of the worst fucking shows I've ever seen in my entire life, and I cannot recommend deleting it from Netflix as quick as you can.
That's why they didn't advertise it. They're like, damn, that was an L.
Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe it's reviewing well, but fuck, man, it's bad. I watched 5 episodes. I don't know why I did that. I was doing other stuff. After the first episode, I was like, okay, I'm going to like clean and do shit.
I love this backpedal of like, oh, I watched a series to, no, it was on the background. I didn't pay attention.
Oh, no. I'm so sorry, David.
It was bad.
That's a sad story.
Still, other than that, still fucking around with my Saturn, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
The sickest thing ever, and I'm so excited to play more.
Are you modding it?
It's already modded, but I'm playing all the games.
I'm playing all the games.
Well, now when I go back to like older consoles, older like 16-bit consoles, they look like shit. I was like looking at Super Nintendo games and Genesis games. I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Oh, my Saturn. I just want to play my Saturn.
That's why I only play new games.
Ew.
I'm just kidding. I mean, basically.
Yeah. Other than that, Doctor Strange.
Bell, you watching anything? How you living?
Yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm watching Friends right now because my girlfriend is a super big fan. I've never seen it.
I'm sorry.
But that's not interesting, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I was playing the game Citizen Sleep that just released.
Citizen Sleeper.
Citizen Sleeper.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very,
it
very
looks
good.
Cool.
It's like a text choose your own adventure where you're a humanoid robot thing that's escaped to this ship and you're trying to escape the planet because it's like a corporate owner that wants to get their property back, which is your body.
Disney.
And I played. It is literally Disney. And I played a lot of it. I almost 100%ed it over the weekend.
Wow.
Because I stayed up till 2 a.m. on Saturday, just playing and playing.
On PC?
Playing. Yeah, it's on Game Pass. Not a sponsor.
I canceled my Game Pass. How
dare you?
There was I just wasn't playing games on it, and part of it was I'm not really doing PC shit right now.
Yeah, the Saturn has everything. That Game Pass
Super
does.
Tempo, Dragon Force, Guardian Heroes. No, Game Pass is good. I don't know. There's just more and more like live service games that are popping up on Game Pass, and I find that just wasn't playing as many games as I was. Like there was a period where I was playing 5 Game Pass games every month, but I'm probably gonna get it back again. But maybe the Citizen Sleeper is the thing that'll get me there.
And then the only other thing that I was playing based on Doctor Strange was I started playing Noida again, which is the wizarding roguelike that is a pixel physics engine game. I love it. I have hundreds of hours in it, and I went back to it, and the sound effects are a lot like Doctor Strange when they're shooting their little magic missiles. It's like,
that's fun.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And it's just a ton of fun. Yeah, Noida. It is worth every single penny, made by a very small European team. The mod scene is great. The art style is great. I love it. It is one of my favorites of all time.
Is it how do the spells work in that?
You just pick up wands that will have spells equipped, and when you get to the end of each kind of level as you descend, you can change the order to customize your wands.
Oh, yeah.
But when you're actually in each section, you can't tinker with them unless you have a perk. So they're as they are, and when you find ones, they're as they are.
Right.
So they can have stuff combined because they're all randomized. You can have ones that shoot acid and fire, which makes them explode right away in your hand.
Oh my!
Because they don't combine well because it's randomized. But it could be something super powerful like summoning black holes and stuff like that.
Black holes.
Yeah, this looks really cool. It's kind of physics sort of based. There's all these particle systems and stuff.
You can if you're on fire, you have to throw water in the air to dampen yourself. So
Man,
not on fire.
I feel like my dream game is a game where you can control magical forces and be creative in how you combine spells and stuff, which is what this sounds like. But it's you pick up a wand and it's more like it's a weapon.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of games treat like spells as just like, oh, it's just like this weapon. And use this spell, it'll shoot something out or whatever. But like my dream game is like, okay, you have like water powers and fire powers and wind powers or whatever, and you can kind of like be creative where I'm like, you're going to throw up some water and then like push it out with wind and then like turn it into ice. And you know, like I feel like
fun.
That's awesome.
I don't even know if that's possible to make. It's probably not.
Avatar game.
But like
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
But like every time I hear
slow-mo every time
I feel like every time I hear about a game where it's like, oh, it's like you can craft different spells and combine them and stuff, it just makes me think about this like non-existent game that exists in my mind.
Be cool. I could see it in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of got a taste of that playing some of those VR magic games, like what they're called.
But there's not really one where you could like whip up water and turn it to ice and like.
Yeah, but it definitely feels cool.
Meta,
Forspoken looks cool. You guys remember?
Oh yeah.
It's like that. I think it's going to be a PlayStation
Xbox
exclusive on
published
console.
The Xbox published PlayStation exclusive.
Oh, what? It's an Xbox?
That's because they bought Bethesda, right? So.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, it was originally going to be a PlayStation exclusive.
So it will be a PlayStation exclusive.
I think they still honoring all the contracts.
But it's like modern girl goes back in time to like medieval or I guess to another dimension where and then she's like controlling magic and like her hand movements look really cool. It looks like she's doing what I'm talking about.
I think I say Hogwarts Legacy.
Ew, we don't talk about that game.
We don't talk about.
Wait, no, Forspoken is the Square Enix
David
one.
doesn't.
What's the other Bethesda game that was a PlayStation exclusive?
Oh, it's Square Enix?
Yeah, that's Square Enix. Yeah, I'm thinking of a different game. But Forspoken's coming out soon.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Oh, not that soon. 10, 11.
Anyways, I think we're about done, eh?
What about you? What are you playing?
I think I might stop watching The Sopranos. I just finished season 1.
I thought you were like 5 seasons in.
No. No, I mean, we only watch one episode at a time. I don't know. There's like,
makes sense.
I think there's 12 episodes in the first season.
Wow.
The long seasons, and it's not like the first season's good in that it's kind of like makes you think about a bunch of stuff, but then there was like a bunch of bad episodes in the latter half. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Maybe we'll pick it up again, but we watched the first 2 episodes of this other HBO show or Showtime or something. It's on Crave in Canada here. It's called I Love That For You, and it's Vanessa Bayer from SNL.
I love her.
Lord and I think she's so funny, and Molly Shannon's in it, and it's about like this girl who grows up on she has cancer as a kid, and so she watches all the ton of the shopping channel. Then she grows up and all she wants to be is a shopping channel person, so then she does it, and it's so funny. Season 2 is like almost not funny compared to the first one, which is like one of the funniest TV show episodes I've ever seen. So hopefully episode 3 is good. Anyways, that's what we're all watching and playing, guys.
Well, what are you guys watching?
Oh, leave a comment.
Oh, you're watching this podcast. Oh,
and
weird.
tell me how wrong I am about this movie, because apparently I'm in the minority that it's a bad movie.
I've seen really mixed things.
It's not a bad movie. It's a 6.75.
And it's a very Sam Raimi thing where it's campy and you have to be okay with like the tonal shifts.
Yeah.
And I went there, man.
Yeah, right.
Next week we're doing Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Fuck yeah.
Featuring Nick Cage as himself, I think.
Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's another multiverse movie.
It's weird that so many multiverse movies are coming out. Even that within the MCU, 2 in a row are multiverse movies.
Well, our universe is kind of fucked, so we're trying to escape.
True.
Hell yeah.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. Tweet at us at TJMPod. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Email us at
hello@they'rejustmovies.com.
And in general, just chill out.
Hang loose, brah.
See you later. Love you.